Metropolitan Action Commission's Board of Commissioners meeting. I need a motion to hold this meeting virtually, and please announce your name.
Oh, kid.
Thank you.
I move that we have it virtual.
Casey Anderson, second.
Thank you for the motion and the second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm going to call attendance now so that we know who is present. I know Casey is here. Leslie Buggs?
Here.
Thank you. Talisha Cobb?
Present.
I'll come back.
Present.
Thank you. Mary Jean Codum? Karen Doty? Karen, I thought I heard you.
I did. I'm present. My screen went off on the screensaver, and I turned it back on to get unmute. So
All right.
I'm here.
All right. Kathy Floyd Buggs? I'll come back. Osmond Gabor? Will Chopin?
I'm present on Mr. Jim Harbison's behalf. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Sharon Hurt? Flo Kidd is here. Joseph Mitchell? Jeffrey Moses? Renee Pratt? Zulfat Suara? And there were two people that I didn't hear from, Osman Gabor and Sharon Hurt. Okay.
And this is Kathy Buggs, present. I was muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. We have a motion to hold this meeting virtually. And now I'd like to call this meeting to order. Now I'd like to have a motion to approve the August 27th meeting minutes. A motion, please.
This is Kathy Buggs. I make a motion that we approve the meeting notes for the 27th.
Thank you. And we need a second.
This is Leslie Buggs. I second the motion.
Thank you, Leslie. Are there any additions or corrections to these minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All right. Anyone who disapproves say no. And any abstentions? I didn't hear everybody, but I'm assuming that I should have heard everybody. All right. Roman numeral 2, Executive Director's Report. Dr. Kroom.
Good afternoon, Dr. Steele and commissioners. It's my pleasure to present my report. At this time, you would have received a summary of that report as a part of your board packet. I'd like to elaborate in some areas and provide additional information. I'll begin by saying that I failed on last meeting to introduce one of our new executive team members. I introduced the new members of the executive team and failed to introduce Tanya Everenson to the board. Tanya is the Director of Workforce for our organization, so I wanted to make sure that I included her this week. It was my error. I thought that I had introduced her the week or the month prior. So it's I want to make sure that I introduce Tanya. Tanya worked for Nashville Career Advancement Center for a number of years and is now the Director of Workforce for Metropolitan Action Commission. You will note as a part of your board packet, there is a report from Head Start that lists in some detail the reopening plans for phase 2, which will actually have children back in our Head Start buildings. That phase will be effective Monday, September 28th. We will do a hybrid model, which means that children will be have some of their time virtual and some of their time actually on site. There are children who will be on site on Monday and Tuesday. No children on site on Wednesday for a full cleaning. Then a different group of children will attend on Thursday and Friday. Again, this is our reopening model. We are also reopening with the plans of making sure that our classrooms do not have the regular number of children in there in order for us to provide safe social distancing, as well as to make sure that we can keep our children and our team members safe. So I wanted to make sure that the board is aware of that information. Certainly at the time of program reports, if there are specific questions, Belva Weathersby is on and she will be able to respond to those questions. You will also note today that there will be, during the section where we talk about grants and contracts, a large number of items to approve because our agency has received a pretty substantial amount of federal funds. And we will be talking about that at that time. I think the other thing it's important to mention to you, based on my report, we continue to move forward in our organization with building an exceptional organization through the training of our leaders as a part of the Human Services Value Curve. That training was held on September 2nd, and the folks from APHSA, which is the American Public Human Services Association, were here to provide that training for our leaders. I was asked to provide a 2-day, that's not accurate, a 2-hour, I apologize, workshop for 23 agencies that are part of the Kentucky Association of Community Action. I did that for them, and we talked about the work that Metropolitan Action Commission has done on 2Gen and whole family as a part of exemplary practice. We did receive a $1,000 honorarium for that 2 hours of training that will go to the agency, not to me. Let me be clear, to the agency, not to me. To support the work that we do here at the agency. I think it's also important that I mention to the board that I was asked by the board chair of MDHA after approval from the mayor's office if I would chair a committee that is responsible for pulling together a set of recommendations and research work to the MDHA board for the process. And board members, I need you to understand clearly what I was asked to do because I've heard some things that are not accurate. I heard that I was asked to be the chair of the search committee. That is not true. What I was asked to do was to chair the committee that is working to determine or to provide research for MDHA's board on the process they would use for the selection of their executive director, not that I am chairing the search committee. I think it's important to mention that the committee is scheduled to be done with its work in time for the November board meeting, at which time or prior to that, we will present that information to the board committee and then finally to the board on the recommended process. And that recommendation will be based on interviews with a number of stakeholders, surveys, as well as a number of other people that we will be talking to, including residents. One more time, I'll say this. We are responsible for recommending a process. We're not the search committee, nor are we involved in or anticipate being involved in the search for MDHA's new executive director. As you know, Jim Harbison is a member of our board. And so certainly his departure from MDHA will be felt by us as well. because MDHA remains a valuable partner to Metropolitan Action Commission. I think those are the items that I want to mention as a part of my report at this time. If there are any questions for me, I will certainly take them at your pleasure.
There being no questions, we'll go on to the finance report, Roman numeral 3, and that will be delivered by Sulfat Suara. And Robert, are you going to present that report?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Thank you, Dr. Steele.
Thank you.
As you will notice from last month, we presented the June financial statements where we closed the fiscal year for Metro. We finished in the positive, and we were able to give back $600,000, as Dr. Kroom stated, due to us being able to reduce our in-kind match from the feds and getting a waiver for the match. But we did not have those signed. The new chair, finance chair Zulfat, has signed those. And so as you can see on June right here, that should be coming up on your screen right now, and it is, that they have been signed. And so we would ask that that is submitted for approval, as well as I'm going to present July's next, so we can approve them at the same time. So if you go on to the next slide, which would be the July financials. Okay, this is the July financials, and Zulfat has reviewed these and signed these also. You'll see my little check marks to the right on this one where I reviewed it, and the ending fund balances, as you will notice, are either positive or zero. And you also will notice that we have some additional funding that we got for LIHEAP CARES Act and the LIHEAP Supplemental that has passed Metro Council, and also the CSBG CARES Act. And once it passes Metro Council, we do add it to the board financial report. And we have some other funding that's out there that's pending Metro Council approval, and then they will be added to future financial reports for the board to review. At the bottom of this July, you will notice that our new Head Start in-kind match for the budget is $3,613,188. And year to date for just July, we've matched 28%. And why that percentage is high for the first month, remember, is that we draw quarterly from Metro, and $1 million has already been drawn out of our matching funds for the Head Start program for the first quarter. So we have 28% that we have put in as in kind. You'll notice on the second page, if you go to the second page, and it should be
Robert, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you. Lisa, for some reason on our screen, it seems to be covering up the actual information that Robert is presenting. Is the board able to actually see the financial document, or are you seeing sections of it blacked out in the same way that I'm seeing?
It's down.
Yeah, it has been. I can see it now.
For some reason, the July report, as Robert was going through it, it started to cover up the numbers. Can you go back to the previous page where Robert was speaking, please?
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
So again, you can see at the bottom left-hand corner that our 100% of our match requirement for the Head Start and Early Head Start program for FY21 that runs from July 1st through June 30th of next year is $3,613,188. And year to date for the month of July, we have matched 28% of our requirement for match. And if you'll turn to the second page, which should be the in-kind report. Okay, here's the in-kind report, and that breaks out that 28% match, which is we've got depreciation expense on our Head Start centers and that $1 million that comes from Metro appropriations. and that matches and it's signed by everybody. And then we have no CACFP program for July, of course, because the kids were not in school. So the only thing we have left are the credit card statements for July. Lisa, if you pull those up. And we do not have many expenditures on that. Okay, the first one is for Dr. Kroon. She had no expenditures for the month of July. Thank you, Lisa. If you return to the next one. And that's Ricky McQueen's. And this is one of the times that she actually has put no expenditures on her Metro issued credit card for the agency for the month of July. And if you return to the next slide, please. The next one is mine, and there are a few expenditures here. It was a renewal, email software renewal, and then we got a credit back for that because we did not want to put it on the credit card. We want to put it through the system and through the internal system. So we charged it, but we got a refund right immediately after it, and we got the sales tax refund back. So actually no charges. The charges washed out there. And then the final one is Sharon Suggs. And she has no charges also for the month of July. And that concludes the presentation of the July financial report. And I would ask the board, Dr. Steele, to approve both the June 2020 and the July 2020 financial statements to the Board of Commissioners.
This is Casey, so moved.
What? Casey?
Casey moved it. You have to make
Casey,
a
I move we approve.
Thank you. Thank you. You were so fast, I didn't get my head wrapped around it. We need a second, please.
Talisha Cobb, second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or additions, or sorry, not additions, any questions about the finance report? All right.
I didn't get a copy at all.
Say it again?
I didn't get a copy. Was it emailed or is it just on the screen there?
It was just on the screen.
Oh, okay.
But we can, Ricky says we can email that to you.
Thank you much.
All right, all right. We have a motion and a second, and we haven't had any further discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Thank you. Anyone who disapproves, say no. Any abstentions? The motion's carried. Thank you. All right. Roman numeral 4, items requiring board action. The Head Start program, PIR, and I have that information. Dr. Kroon, you want to take care of that, please? Hello?
I apologize. I apparently wanted to just talk to myself since I was muted. Each year we have a requirement to submit the program information report for Head Start, and that report is submitted to the board for the board's review, and then it's submitted to the Head Start agency. This is just to make sure the board is aware that if you'll look at the highlighted portion of this document that came from our Head Start funder, that due to the impacts of the coronavirus disease, the 2019-2020 PIR is not required. So there will be no submission of the PIR because that information is not required. And the reason for that obviously is because we were unable to complete the assessments and other things that we would have done with the children due to COVID-19. And so the federal government, particularly Head Start, was trying to reduce the burdens that were on organizations. As a consequence, we are not submitting the PIR. So we wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that. The next item, Dr. Steele, I'll just continue through this section so everything can be approved at one time.
Thank you.
The next item is our job descriptions. I'm going to mention two items that you won't see on the screen. One of them you should. As you all know, we are continuing with the completing the restructuring of our organization. And part of that was that we were bringing job descriptions before the board for approval. There are two job descriptions that you won't actually see the description because the description was previously approved by the board. But there are two of them that we are asking to change the classification levels of those two positions. So right now, the transportation manager, and we're trying to do this for consistency with some of our manager positions. The transportation manager is currently a MAC 10D. We are requesting approval to move that to a MAC 11A. The facilities manager is a MAC, I think, 10A, and we're asking to move that individual to a MAC 11A. And what we're trying to do is have some continuity in terms of where our manager positions sit on our classification system versus where the director level positions sit. So we're asking for your approval of those two classifications to move. And I apologize, my light has gone out because I'm not moving enough. So we're asking for that. And then the communications director job description you should have received that by email. And Lisa, I don't know if you have that up, but once again, in our efforts to bring things to a consistency, thank you. We are asking for approval of the communications director job description. This is Lisa McCrady's job description, and it brings her grade level in line with the rest of the directors in the agency. So we're asking your approval for, again, the transportation manager and the facilities manager moving to the 11A on the classification system, and we're asking you to approve the job description of the communications director or director of communications, which is Lisa McCrady, to bring her both her grade and her salary in line with the other directors that are in the agency. I'm going to ask your approval on those two items. Dr. Steele first, and then I will move on to grants, contracts, and MOUs because it is such a long list.
Yes,
This is Flo Kid, and I move that we accept the new salary scale.
And this is Kathy Buggs. Kathy Buggs, and I second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Kroom, are you saying something? No? Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'm sorry, are there any questions regarding these items?
This is Sharon Hurt, and I don't necessarily have a question in regards to the job description for the communications director, but I did notice on the job description that there was to be engagement with council members. It may not necessarily be needed to be put on the job description, but I would suggest that that person also attends committee meetings that may specifically relate to the job that they're doing within the council. So, because that's where you basically build the relationships. Similarly to what you do, Dr. Crooms, in attending the Health and Hospitals and Social Services Committee. I think it would be helpful, to attend the education meeting and the Health and Hospital and Social Services and other things so they can have that intimate conversation firsthand.
Thank you for that. And you're right, it's not actually on the job description, but Lisa is our representative to the council. And so the meetings that I've been attending via Zoom, it's because she's actually in other meetings, because as you know now, some of them conflict with each other. So that is the role of this position. It's not expressly stated here, but that is what she currently does.
She currently does that. Thank you. All right, are there any other additions or corrections to this item? We have a motion, and did somebody say something? All right. We have a
Jeffrey Mose, I
motion.
have a question.
Yes, Jeffrey.
A little bit late, but the question that I had was with the fact that sometimes that the meetings conflict with her schedule as far as her not being able to attend both meetings, should she have an assistant?
I will respond to that before she says anything, Mr. Moses. We have a number of people who serve in that capacity. So for example, I serve in that capacity as well when it comes to going to or participating in the council meetings and the committee. Mr. Cox does as well. So there are a number of us who serve in this role.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you. Any other additions or corrections? All right. Seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves, say no. Any abstentions? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. The next one is grants and MOUs, and I think that I was just looking at that list, and I'd like to group some of these. Or Dr. Krumer, are you going to talk about this or what?
Yes, ma'am. I will group them.
Thank you.
So if you look at the first grouping, you will see that for LAHEAP, we've gotten a pretty substantial amount of funding. This funding has been approved by Metro Council. So I will begin with this first section I'm asking your approval for. The Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. We've received a grant we expect to see our fiscal year 21 grant. So that one has not come or been approved by council, but we always ask the board to approve our receipt of that grant. The next one, which is the LAHEAP CARES grant, has been approved by council. It's for $1.4 million. The next one is the LAHEAP assistance program. This is supplemental funding. That's $1.6 million. That's also gone before council already. The vendor agreements that we're required by our funder to have, this is not, this is just something that shows that we have an agreement with the vendors that they will accept our payments for the energy assistance. The community services block grant, the regular submission of our funding, that amount is, we're asking your approval for receipt of that grant. That's at $1.3 million. The community services block grant carry forward, that's also gone before council. That's $367,000. And then Lisa, if you will move down to the MDHA grant. I'm asking because that's all out of the same area. The MDHA grant, we're asking your approval of our receipt of it. It will come before you again because this still has to go before Metro Council. It's the two legal departments are working out things. This is a grant to the Metropolitan Action Commission to allow us to provide rental assistance coming through CDBG funding. And that's for $908,325.75. So we're asking your approval for those grants that will be coming into the community services, Family and Community Services Division that is administered by Mr. Cox.
6 grants that we're asking approval for, is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
6 grants that we're asking approval for, correct? The first 6.
That would be 7. We added the MDHA grant as the 7th one in this grouping.
I don't see it. It's on second page. Oh, all right. No, I see it. Thank you. All right. All right. We need a motion to approve, please.
This is Casey. I move we approve the 7 grants.
Thank you. We need a
This is
second.
Sharon Hurd. I second, but I do have a question regarding the MDHA grant.
Yes,
The assistance, would this be for specifically those residents of MDHA properties, or is this for any low-income individuals or families who may need the
excuse me,
assistance?
could we take action on it first and then answer the
Oh,
question?
yes, I apologize. I'm sorry. I do second.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Now, questions and concerns? Go ahead now, please.
Yes,
Thank
so, Council Lady, this is CDBG funding. And because
Mm-hmm.
it's CDBG funding, it's open to any resident with low income. It has a different structure to it than our normal CSBG money.
Mm-hmm.
You can help them over a longer period of time, and there are some specific requirements in terms of things you do with landlords that's different from our funding, but it is open to any resident in our county that qualifies, not just residents of public housing, because this is not HUD specific money related to public housing. This is CDBG funding.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or concerns? All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves, say no. And any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Now we're looking at the Head Start grants, Dr. Kroom.
Okay, thank you. So when you, the next set of grants, the Head Start fiscal year 20 amendment number 2, you've heard this several times. This waived the $600,000 in matching funds. And so we were able to return those dollars to Metropolitan Government of Nashville from the previous fiscal year. We're bringing that before you. The Head Start fiscal year 20 amendment number 3. This is the amendment that allowed us to have Head Start funding to respond to COVID-19 concerns. That's for $531,946. Fiscal year 20 amendment number 4 takes the money that they gave us, the $531,000, and moves it to the current fiscal year. The reason for that is because they awarded us the money at the end of the previous fiscal year, and we didn't have time to spend it. And so it gets then re-obligated to us to use in the current fiscal year. The Head Start fiscal year 21 grant for $13,952,753. That is our actual Head Start grant for the current fiscal year that we're asking your approval for. I will mention to you something that will possibly sound confusing, but hopefully not. If you look at the next one, it says Head Start fiscal year amendment number 1.
Mm-hmm.
They obligated the funds to the wrong payee account. And so they had to give us something that documentation on that. We're asking your approval for that amendment. Amendment number 2 then takes the money that they put in the wrong account and re-obligates it to the correct account. And it shows that information. That's amendment 2. Amendment number 3 is startup money for the early Head Start classrooms that we were bringing into our building. That's $500,000. Head Start Amendment number 4 provides a cost of living and quality improvement for Head Start at $682,702. Those are the grants and the amendments that we are asking board approval for.
And then we can answer questions. Motion, please.
I move that we accept the report.
Casey,
Thank
second.
Thank you. Thank you for the motion in the second. Now, questions and concerns and questions. Everybody understood all that? Okay. All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone who thank you. Anyone who disapproves, say no. And any abstentions? Motion is carried. We love receiving new money. Okay. Now we're going to go on to the Victims of Crime Act. Dr. Croom.
Dr. Steele, I'd like to take the last three together.
All right.
The Victims of Crime Act amendment is just a budget revision. It doesn't change the dollar amount, and there are no additional dollars received. It just cleans up the budget for the VOCA grant.
Okay.
The Kresge Foundation Amendment number 1, we were given an opportunity to do what's called a pitch with Kresge, where we could tell them something that we wanted to do specifically with youth related to race and equity. We did the pitch. I think it will go down in history as the worst pitch I've ever experienced. However, we did get notification that we were funded for the additional $10,000. The next one, which you heard me mention in my report, is the Community Action Kentucky Honorarium. Based on the 2-hour training that I provided for the 23 agencies in the Kentucky Association of Community Action, they made a $1,000 contribution to our organization. So we're asking the board's approval for these 3 items.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve.
Casey, so moved.
This is a motion to approve.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. I'm sorry. Any questions or concerns? No. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves, say no. And any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. We love receiving new money. All right, Roman numeral 5, program reports, communications. Lisa?
No report.
Okay. Family and community services.
Nothing to add at this time.
Nice to hear a voice, Mr. Fox. Early
Yes,
education program.
Thank you.
Policy Council. Anything else?
Nothing to add at this time.
Okay, thank you. Workforce development, thank you, Tanya.
Nothing to add at this time.
All right, thank you. Transformation and innovation.
Good afternoon. Nothing to add at this time.
That's a mouthful. Administrative services.
Nothing to add at this time.
All right, thank you. And human services.
Human resources, nothing to add at this time.
For human resources.
Early education and youth.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, all right. Is there any other business? Hearing none. Our next meeting is Thursday, October 22nd. I look forward to meeting everybody. Yes.
Early education and youth. I don't know that you called them.
I sure didn't. I thought I did. Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Early education and youth? No? Okay. No other business. The next meeting is Thursday, October 22nd, 2020, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Meeting is adjourned.